Hello, Leo. Can you feel it too? That uneasy energy surrounding you. The kind that whispers even when no one says a word. There's a darkness drawing near, but don't worry, because the truth you need is about to surface. And that's exactly why you found this video today. This is not just another horoscope. This is a moment of divine alignment. You didn't stumble here by accident. The universe always guides you where you're meant to be, especially when you're about to receive a message that could shift everything. Right now, Leo, something hidden is coming into the light. And deep down, your spirit already knows it. Think about it. Have you felt lately like someone is watching you, but not out of admiration? More like silent envy? Maybe it's someone smiling on the outside but masking something deeper. Maybe it's just a subtle shift in their tone, their eyes, or their distance. You're not imagining it. And you're definitely not alone. Leo, you were born under the sun, the ruler of radiance, visibility, and power. So when your light shines brighter, shadows get nervous. Some people are drawn to your glow. Others want to dim it. The energy you've been picking up on? It's real. But so is your ability to see through it, and rise above it. So I ask you now, gently but sincerely, what led you here today? Was it a dream, a repeated number, a quiet nudge from your gut that something just isn't right? Comment below with the angel number you've been seeing. 111? 444? Maybe 888? These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. And I read every one because they help align this message even more closely with your energy. Let me also take a moment to thank you, deeply and sincerely, for being here. Your presence, your energy, your curiosity, it all means more than you know. Every like, every comment, every subscriber adds light to this growing soul family we call eternal mindfulness. It is because of you that I get to continue sharing these sacred messages, and I promise you, from my heart to yours, today's reading is something you'll want to experience until the very end. So stay with me, Leo. Because the energy that's been confusing you is about to make sense. The people you've been unsure about, their masks are slipping. And your clarity, your power, is returning. What's happening around you is no accident. What's happening within you is even more important. So breathe. Settle in. And let the universe show you what it's been trying to say all along. When your light begins to stir the world around you, you may not always be met with applause. Sometimes, the more you radiate, the more you disturb the structures that have grown used to shadows. And what you're sensing now, Leo, is that quiet resistance, a form of energetic friction that occurs not because you've done something wrong, but because your presence is reminding others of the places in themselves they've left untouched. This is why the discomfort has been growing. It's not just the people around you, it's a signal that something within you is asking to be seen, clarified, and rebalanced. In moments like these, when things feel unclear or heavy without explanation, the natural instinct is to retreat, to overanalyze, or to fix what might not even be yours to carry. But this part of the journey is not about problem solving, it's about presence. What's happening now is not a test, but a process. You're being invited to sit with the discomfort, not to control it, but to witness it, and in that stillness, to begin releasing what no longer resonates with your path. The truth is, clarity does not arrive through force. It arrives like light through a window, when you are quiet enough to notice it. And that quiet is not passive, it is a conscious choice to no longer be at war with what is. When you choose to stay soft in the face of pressure, when you choose to breathe instead of brace, you become the one who can see. That's when you realize, not everyone needs to understand your path, and not every whisper around you deserves your energy. Your fire, Leo, was not meant to burn everything down. It was meant to warm, to illuminate, and to transform, but only when held with awareness. In astrology, the fifth house, ruled by Leo, governs not just self-expression and creativity, but also the heart. This is why your emotions feel so big right now. Your body remembers truths that your mind has tried to reason through. Your intuition is not confused, it is simply quieted by the noise of external expectation. And right now, the most courageous thing you can do is listen inward, rather than seek outward validation. There is a teaching that says, when the mind is silent and the heart is open, everything reveals itself. This is not about waiting for answers, but about becoming available to them. The moment you stop chasing the solution is the moment it starts unfolding. You'll notice how the same people who once held power over your emotions begin to lose their grip. You'll notice how the financial instability wasn't about lack, but about misalignment, a necessary shakeup to realign your values with your reality. These aren't punishments. They're portals. And through those portals, you're not just meant to walk, you're meant to rise. Not because someone hands you a crown, but because you remember you were never without one. What you're stepping into now is not just another phase. It is a reclamation of your attention, your focus, your ability to discern. When you stop internalizing every silent look or delayed message, you make space for a different kind of truth to surface, one that belongs to you. And from that place, nothing outside of you can truly shake you. So breathe, Leo. What you're feeling is real, and it is meaningful. But it is not final. The story unfolding around you is not the full truth. The full truth is emerging within you. Let it come. Let it teach you. And most importantly, let it free you. When money begins to flow unpredictably, arriving in bursts and vanishing just as fast, it's more than a financial issue. It's a reflection of energetic imbalance. For Leo, a sign ruled by the sun, abundance is often tied to confidence, visibility, and creative self-expression. But lately, the current feels off. Projects stall at the last moment, opportunities seem to slip through your fingers, and even when gains come in, they feel unstable, as if something unseen is draining your field. That's not failure. It's feedback. And the message is subtle but powerful. Something in your inner or outer world is not aligned with what you're trying to build. In astrology, this misalignment is often amplified when Rahu, the North Node, casts its illusion across your solar placement. It creates mirages, pulling your focus toward promises that dazzle but don't deliver. You may chase something shiny thinking it's the solution, only to realize you veered off your soul's true path. This is not punishment, it's a call back to groundedness. The Knight of Pentacles appears here not as a block, but as a reminder. Real wealth is built slowly, steadily, with deep roots. It asks you to pause, to examine where your energy is leaking. The Five of Swords suggests competition or manipulation, possibly someone siphoning your momentum through unseen jealousy or subtle sabotage. And the Seven of Pentacles tells you you've been planting seeds, but perhaps in soil that wasn't fully yours. Sometimes, the soil looks fertile on the surface, but it's shallow, or already claimed by someone else's roots. That's why things sprout and wither. You're not lacking discipline or drive, you're simply being redirected toward where your harvest can truly last. And that redirection starts not in your bank account, but in your nervous system. When you're constantly in fight or flight, trying to chase the next opportunity or protect what's already yours, you invite chaos into your field. But when you return to stillness, when you breathe, eat slowly, move deliberately, you anchor your frequency. That's when money stops running from you and begins to arrive as an extension of your balance, not your burnout. There is a saying that the roots of a tree grow strongest in silence. Likewise, your financial stability isn't built in the noise of panic or urgency, but in the quiet choices you make daily. You don't need to earn more right now, you need to leak less. That might mean saying no to an offer that feels off. It might mean stepping away from someone whose presence always leaves you energetically drained. Or it might simply mean adjusting your routines, eating more grounding foods like brown rice or beets, spending 5 minutes each morning imagining money as light returning to you with ease, or keeping a small symbol of abundance near your workspace, not as superstition, but as a reminder that wealth is a vibration, not a chase. One of the most overlooked truths is that your outer world moves at the pace of your inner clarity. When you act from fear, the world responds with more to fear. But when you act from grounded trust, even when uncertainty is high, the world begins to shift in your favor. You don't need to control every outcome. You only need to stay rooted, honest, and willing to adjust your course. The universe will take care of the rest. And with every quiet, intentional step, your energy becomes magnetic again, not to temporary wins, but to lasting wealth that nourishes your soul as much as your material world. Sometimes, the connections that feel the most intense aren't here to last, they're here to awaken. When a bond feels destined but leaves you questioning your worth, your sanity, or your sense of self, it's time to pause. The energy between you may be strong, magnetic even, but strength alone is not a measure of truth. Love doesn't just pull, it holds, it respects, it breathes. And when your joy feels silenced but your anxiety gets attention, what you're experiencing may be less about love and more about a cycle of emotional reinforcement that keeps you tangled instead of free. The Lovers and Two of Cups often symbolize union, but when paired with the Devil and the Queen of Wands in shadow, they speak to something deeper, a relationship laced with temptation, manipulation, or an undercurrent of power play. These aren't necessarily signs of malice. Sometimes, it's simply two people dancing in their wounds, mistaking intensity for intimacy. In these moments, the question isn't, do they love me? But rather, does this love allow me to love myself? It's easy to confuse emotional highs and lows with depth. In fact, emotional addiction often hides behind grand gestures and passionate arguments. The mind craves the familiar, even when the familiar is inconsistent. You might find that when you are grounded and calm, the connection fades, only to flare up again the moment you feel uncertain. This isn't a coincidence. It's a pattern. One that hooks into your nervous system and convinces you that tension equals care. But true love does not need crisis to feel alive. In the teachings of stillness, we learn that clarity only comes when we stop reacting. That's why stepping back, not away, but inward, is the first step toward understanding what this connection truly is. When you write a letter to yourself from 1 year in the future, you're not guessing your destiny, you're remembering your agency. You're asking the version of you who made it through to speak truth into the noise of right now. That version of you knows whether this relationship is growing you or draining you. Healing in this context doesn't always mean fixing the relationship. Sometimes, it means making peace with what it cannot be. That's where the white light meditation comes in, not as a magical solution, but as a space where you can send compassion to yourself and the other person without expectation. This simple act allows you to release what you cannot control and return to your own emotional center. There is a gentle truth that not all connections are meant to walk the full path with us. Some come in like lightning, brilliant, shocking, unforgettable, not to stay, but to shake something loose. They awaken parts of us we didn't know were asleep, often through contrast. Through the absence of peace, we learn what peace actually feels like. And through the instability of another, we come to crave stability within ourselves. You're not failing by questioning this bond. You're becoming aware. And awareness is the seed of all healing. When you choose presence over longing, clarity over clinging, and self-respect over emotional chaos, you begin to shift the frequency of your heart. And from that frequency, a new kind of love becomes possible, the kind that doesn't require you to shrink, to chase, or to break yourself just to be seen. Let this be a gentle invitation to honor the lesson, no matter the outcome. Not all soul connections are meant to be lifelong companions. Some are mirrors. Some are turning points. Some are simply the doorway through which you return to yourself. After the unraveling, after the confrontation with truth, whether it came in the form of financial instability, relational friction, or emotional exhaustion, what remains is the quiet space of return. This is where the healing begins. Not by chasing what was lost or forcing what never fit, but by remembering who you are beneath the noise. The cards of Justice, 9 of Pentacles, and the Emperor don't show up to congratulate or warn. They appear when it's time to recalibrate. Their message is clear: this is your moment to reclaim your seat, not through dominance, but through alignment. There is a sacred shift that happens when you move from asking, "Why is this happening to me?" to, "What is this teaching me?" That single question places you back into your own power. Not the kind of power that dominates others, but the kind that grounds you, steadies you, and makes you unshakable. It's the inner authority that doesn't need validation to know its worth. And Leo, your journey now is not about becoming someone new. It's about returning to the essence that was always there, underneath the layers of people-pleasing, performance, or survival. This return is not passive. It's an act of conscious rebuilding. From a cosmic perspective, this is a cycle of integration. You've absorbed the lessons, and now your energy is asking to be restructured. Daily rituals, no matter how small, are the scaffolding of this inner architecture. A 3-minute warrior pose in the morning isn't just movement, it's a statement to the day that you will stand in your truth. Writing affirmations in front of a mirror may seem simple, but it reshapes neural pathways. Words become beliefs. And beliefs become the blueprint of your external world. Color carries vibration, and the hues you invite into your field can become silent allies. Garnet red protects and anchors you when the world feels unsteady. Burnt orange ignites the creative fire when your inspiration feels scattered. Golden yellow reminds you of your capacity to attract wealth, not just in money, but in experiences, support, and clarity. These colors aren't just aesthetic choices, they are expressions of intention, ways of speaking to your subconscious without words. There's a quiet wisdom that teaches, when the mind is calm, decisions become clear. When the body is grounded, energy flows where it is needed. And when your heart is aligned with your values, life begins to respond in kind. You're not being asked to push harder. You're being invited to stabilize what's already within you. This phase of your journey isn't about more, it's about deeper. And depth often begins with stillness. The Emperor archetype doesn't conquer by force. He leads by knowing. He builds by observing cycles, by acting in harmony with natural order. The same is asked of you now. Be deliberate. Be thoughtful. Know when to act, and when to wait. As you sit more fully in your own center, you'll begin to notice something subtle but profound. Things begin to move around you without you needing to force them. That is the resonance of true power. So if there is a mantra for this phase, let it be simple and unshakable. I no longer fear losing what was never mine. I return to the root of my own energy, and from this place, I cannot be manipulated. This is not resistance, it is release. It is the quiet, sovereign stance of someone who has learned to trust themselves again. And when you move from that place, Leo, you don't just heal. You lead. Not through control, but through clarity. Not through noise, but through unwavering presence. When everything around you starts to shift, when truths once hidden begin to surface, when certain people start revealing their true colors not through words, but through subtle actions, it's not a disruption. It's a realignment. Starting May 7th, a powerful astrological current activates what can only be described as a turning gate of truth. And Leo, as someone ruled by the sun, this moment isn't just happening to you, it's unfolding for you. You are not the passenger in this story. You are the one steering it. What's being illuminated now are not new problems, but long-standing patterns that can no longer hide. Maybe you've had a gut feeling for a while now, about a person, a situation, or a financial loop that never quite feels secure. And yet, you've stayed, tolerated, adapted. Not out of weakness, but out of loyalty to a version of peace that felt safer than change. But the universe doesn't allow false peace to linger when your soul is ready for expansion. That's why the energy feels intense. That's why old facades are cracking open. Not to punish you, but to reveal the power you forgot you had. This phase isn't about reacting, it's about choosing. Choosing whether you'll continue pretending not to know what your intuition already told you, or whether you'll turn inward and reclaim your authority. It's like standing at a river crossing. On one side is comfort, familiarity, even if it's draining. On the other is uncertainty, but also truth, freedom, and alignment. No one can push you across. You have to take the step. And the first step is honesty. Not with them, with yourself. The ancient teachings remind us that clinging is the root of suffering, not because letting go is easy, but because holding on to what is no longer meant for us creates friction within the soul. That's the ache you've been feeling, not just from outside circumstances, but from the quiet conflict inside, the part of you that knows it's time to evolve, and the part that's afraid of what might be lost in the process. But what if you're not losing anything? What if you're simply shedding what cannot join you at your next level? This is why ritual matters, not for superstition, but for intention. On the night of May 7th, consider writing down what you're ready to release. A pattern. A name. A habit. Burn the paper, not to erase the past, but to signal to your nervous system that you're no longer clinging. That you trust yourself enough to move forward lighter. This symbolic act of release holds immense power. It is not about control, it is about surrendering to clarity. Repeat to yourself daily, even softly, I choose light. I choose truth. I choose myself. Say it until your body believes it. Until your choices reflect it. Until your boundaries support it. This is how you begin to shift from being a reactor to being the architect of your path. So if you're feeling the energy build, if things around you feel like they're stretching or straining, good. That means the shift is already happening. The choice now is yours. Will you tighten your grip, or will you open your hands and receive what's meant for you? And if your heart already knows the answer, speak it into being. Declare it below, I'm ready to return to my throne. Because that's where you've always belonged, not in someone's shadow, not in someone else's version of your story, but in your own light, leading your own life, with clarity, courage, and calm. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, Leo. Not anymore. You don't need to chase love to be worthy of it. You don't need to hold on to money to believe you're safe. And you absolutely do not need to dim your light so someone else can feel more comfortable in your presence. Your radiance was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to lead. And if you've been feeling like someone's been watching you, draining your energy, or pulling at the edges of your peace, it's because your light is waking up what they haven't healed within themselves. But you are not here to carry that. You are not here to shrink yourself in response to another's shadows. You are here to rise, again and again, no matter how many times you've had to rebuild. And maybe you've noticed it lately, the strange financial delays, the projects that almost happened but somehow slipped away, the way your joy gets quieted the moment someone senses you're thriving. This isn't bad luck. It's not your fault. It's energy. It's a call to seal the leaks, to clear the channels, and to protect your field, not out of fear, but out of reverence for the power that lives within you. In love, you've seen patterns too. The pull-push. The hot and cold. The attention that comes not when you're whole, but when you're questioning yourself. That's not love. That's a loop. And every time you choose silence over self-abandonment, every time you choose to feel instead of fight, you're breaking the pattern. You're reminding yourself that your worth is not dependent on someone else's approval or attention. That's what the cosmos is showing you now. That's why the truth is rising. Not to hurt you, but to free you. So now, the invitation is clear. Will you continue choosing the comfort of confusion just to keep the peace? Or will you dare to step into the clarity of your own truth, even if it means letting go of the illusion of harmony? Because Leo, the world doesn't need you to be agreeable. It needs you to be alive. Fully. Authentically. Unapologetically. The rituals, the affirmations, the mindful movement, they are not just tasks to check off. They are bridges, anchors, reminders that each day, you are building a new reality from the inside out. So write that letter to yourself. Burn the paper. Say the mantra even when it feels unfamiliar. Visualize your money like light, flowing in and staying. Visualize yourself as the emperor, calm, grounded, unshakable. These aren't just practices. They are recalibrations. And maybe, just maybe, the reason this video found you today isn't because you needed answers. Maybe it's because you were ready to remember what you've always known, that your truth is enough, that your boundaries are sacred, and that your voice, yes, even when it shakes, is powerful beyond measure. So I ask you now, from a place of deep respect, what are you ready to release? What outdated version of yourself are you willing to shed so that your real self, the one you were always meant to be, can finally breathe again? If this message has touched something in you, even just a little, let the universe hear it. Drop a comment below and say, I'm ready to return to my throne. Say it not just to me, not just to those reading, but to your future self, the one who already stepped into that power and never looked back. And if you felt seen here, if something resonated, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and share it with someone you know is also walking the path of becoming. Because light expands when it's shared. Healing multiplies when it's spoken. And your voice could be the very ripple that helps someone else wake up to their own truth. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today. For showing up, for yourself, for your growth, for the collective rising we are all part of. Your presence is not just welcome, it's necessary. And trust me when I say, you were never lost. You were only waiting for the moment you could finally choose yourself again. So now, Leo, the truth is no longer hiding. The energy has shifted. And your time? It's not coming, it's here. You were born to lead. You were born to shine. And the world is ready. Are you?